Okay, so welcome to part 3 of the fundamental accounting equation. So in this video, we are going to solve this activity, or answer this activity rather, wherein we're going to compute for the missing amount using the accounting equation. So just to recap what we have discussed in our last two videos about the accounting equation, assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. So we are going to use this equation in completing this table here. So in order to complete this table, we are going again to use our sheets so that it will be easier for us to compute for this one. So let's just copy what we have here as a title. Okay. No. Let's just create a new one. So let's put assets, liabilities, and equity as our headers. Okay. Okay, and the numbers here on the left side. So following the equation that we have discussed before, wherein assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. So what we're going to do here is to put a checking column for us to see if our answers are correct, just like what we did in the previous video. So we have to counter check, of course, in an equation if the left and the right side of our equation are equal. So in this case, there should be assets. So we will put the assets here, which needs to be equal to the liabilities plus equity. There. We have the assets is equal to liabilities and the equity. So, okay. So let's start with number 1. So in number 1, we have here in our problem, we have an asset of 48,000 pesos. So 48,000 pesos and a liability of 38,000 pesos. So if you notice, there is a difference here of how much. So to see how much is the difference, let's just subtract the assets minus the liability. If you remember before, when we defined equity, that is the residual amount of assets after deducting the liability. So that means that the remaining, or the difference of 10,000 pesos here, is the value of our equity. So we're going to put that in the equity. Okay, so if you want to see how it will be computed rather using a calculator, what you're going to do is just, since the missing amount is the equity, let's go back to the definition of the equity, which is the residual amount of the assets after deducting all the liabilities. So let's just deduct the liabilities from the assets. So we have assets, which is 48,000 pesos, minus liabilities of 38,000 pesos. So ayan yung sagot, 10,000 pesos for the equity. So number 2, okay, so then for number 2, we have assets of 33,000 pesos. And the other given is a capital or equity of 15,900 pesos. There. So let's see how much is the difference. balance. Okay, so what we did here, we just subtract E4, which is the value of the left side of the equation, which is the assets, and F4, which is the value of the equity, which is on the right side of the equation. So the missing value or the difference is 17,100 pesos, which makes it the value of the liability, 17,100 pesos. So there. So equal na naman sila, 33,000 and 33,000 on the left and on the right. Okay? So there. So for number 3, we have a liabilities of 28,300 pesos. So 28,300 pesos. And we have a capital of 105,000 pesos. There. So again, diba, going back to the fundamental accounting equation, when you add as liabilities and equity, you will get the assets. So pag-add lang natin si liability and equity here. Okay? So ito na yun, yung nasa right side, 28,300 pesos plus 105,000 pesos. We will get 133,000 pesos, which will be the value of our assets here. 133,300. There. So let's drag it down. Okay. There you go. So very easy, diba? Lagi nyo lang tatandaan, assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. So if you're computing for the equity, ibawas mo lang si liability from the assets, just like this one, which we have discussed before. Or if you want to regroup this one again, you can also state this as assets para malaman mo kung magkano yung liabilities, just deduct the equity. So that is your total liabilities. So ganun natin siya isosolve. Next, number 4, we have assets 66,720 pesos, 66,720 pesos, and an equity of 205,000 pesos. So, tamang-tama yung ginawa natin kanina. Equity is 205,000 pesos. So, which means, let us get the difference. So, may difference na negative 138,280 pesos. Which means, kung ano mang nangyari sa transaction dito sa number 4, nabawasan yung liability ng 138,280 pesos. Kaya siya negative. Ibig sabihin nun, nabawasan siya. So, if you will see, balance na naman with, on the left side, we have 66,720 pesos and adding negative 138,280 pesos and 205,000 pesos, you will get 66,720 pesos on the right side of this equation. And last number, we have 52,236 pesos for the assets. And for the liabilities, you have 15,000 pesos there. So, on difference is 37,236 pesos. So, ibig sabihin, yan yung equity natin. 37,236 pesos. So, balance sila. So, if you are solving problems like this, ganito lang lagi yung gagawin nyo. Kung ano yung missing amount, aalamin nyo kung sa left or sa right side siya. Tapos, i-fulfill nyo lang yung sa accounting equation, which is, pwede nyo gamitin kahit alin dito sa tatlo. Assets is equal to liabilities plus equity kung asset ang nawawala. Okay, so let's try to highlight it with a different color. Ayan. So, kung equity naman ang nawawala, you can compute it by using assets minus liabilities. Or kung liabilities naman yung missing value, you can compute it by computing assets minus equity. So that's it. So that would be all for our third video. Thank you so much.